good evening. Tonight, there is nowhere to rush, no mountains to climb, no cities to cross, only water, an endless blue world that stretches farther than the eye could ever see. As you settle into a comfortable position, allow each slow breath to carry away the noise of the day. Imagine yourself floating gently on an impossibly calm ocean. The surface is smooth like polished glass. Above you, a sky scattered with quiet stars. Below you, a mystery deeper than almost anywhere else on Earth. Most people spend their lives looking upward towards space. Yet another universe waits beneath the waves. A world so vast that we have mapped only a small part of it. A place where sunlight slowly disappears, where pressure grows stronger with every gentle descent, and where extraordinary creatures drift through eternal darkness without ever seeing a sunrise. Tonight, we won't be rushing through this hidden world. Instead, we'll descend slowly, layer by peaceful layer, from the warm sunlit surface to the deepest place known on our planet. Along the way, we'll meet glowing jellyfish, ancient sharks, silent giants, volcanic mountains hidden beneath the sea, and valleys deeper than the tallest mountains are high. Everything you hear tonight comes from real science, presented gently, without urgency, like a quiet bedtime journey. There are no dangers here, only wonder, only calm curiosity. Imagine the ocean rocking you softly, the sound of tiny waves brushing against your boat, a cool breeze across your face, the faint scent of salt carried through the night air. With every breath, your body becomes a little heavier, your thoughts a little lighter. Soon, even the stars above begin to fade into the peaceful rhythm of the sea. Our journey begins at the very top of the ocean, where sunlight dances across gentle waves. And the greatest adventure on Earth quietly waits below. For now, we remain at the very top of the sea. The water beneath us rises and falls with long, gentle swells. Each movement feels slow, almost like breathing. Above, the morning sky glows with soft shades of pale blue and gold. A few seabirds drift effortlessly on the breeze. Far away, a whale exhales a cloud of mist into the cool air before disappearing beneath the surface once again. From here, the ocean seems endless. Nearly 3/4 of our planet is covered by water. If every continent suddenly vanished, Earth would become a nearly perfect blue sphere. It is no surprise that astronauts often call our home the blue planet. Yet what appears calm from above hides unimaginable depth below. Most of the ocean is far deeper than people imagine. Many beaches become shallow for quite a distance. But eventually, the seafloor drops away into vast underwater plains, hidden mountains, and enormous trenches. Standing on the deck of our imaginary research vessel, you might notice how clear the water looks. Sunlight pours into the sea, breaking into dancing ribbons beneath the waves. Tiny particles sparkle like floating dust in an old library. Except these are living things. Millions of microscopic organisms drift with the currents. Together, they form plankton. Some are tiny animals. Others are microscopic plants called phytoplankton. Although invisible to most people, these little drifting organisms quietly support almost all life in the ocean. Even more surprisingly, phytoplankton help produce a remarkable amount of the oxygen we breathe. With every peaceful breath you take tonight, there is a good chance that some of that oxygen was first created by these tiny floating cells. Imagine that. The smallest ocean life helping every creature on land. Schools of colorful fish move beneath us. Silver scales flash whenever they turn together. No single fish appears to lead. Instead, thousands respond almost instantly to one another, creating graceful patterns that ripple through the water like living clouds. Sea turtles glide slowly below. Some of their ancestors swam these oceans while dinosaurs still walked across the continents. For more than 100 million years, their gentle rhythm has changed very little. There is something comforting about that thought. The world around them transformed countless times, yet they continued their quiet migrations, crossing entire oceans with calm determination. Not far away, coral reefs stretch across the shallow seafloor. At first glance, corals may look like colorful underwater rocks, but each coral is actually made of thousands of tiny animals, working together, building delicate limestone homes over many generations. Some reefs have been growing for thousands of years, little by little, layer upon layer, creating underwater cities filled with extraordinary life. Bright orange fish weave through branching coral. Tiny shrimp clean larger fish. Sea stars rest peacefully on the sand. Everything moves with remarkable balance. Even here, where life seems abundant, the ocean remains wonderfully quiet. Sound travels differently underwater. Instead of sharp echoes, many sounds become deep, soft, and distant. Whales communicate across hundreds of miles using low, gentle calls. Some of these sounds are so deep that humans cannot hear them without special equipment. Imagine floating quietly beneath the waves, listening as those ancient voices drift through the vast blue darkness, like peaceful songs carried by invisible currents. The deeper we eventually travel, the less sunlight will follow us. Already, the bright colors begin to soften. Red fades first, then orange, then yellow. Each color quietly disappears as water absorbs different wavelengths of light. It is one of the reasons deep ocean photographs often appear blue. The colors themselves have not vanished, only the sunlight that once revealed them. Our journey downward has barely begun. Above us, the surface still sparkles. Below, an endless blue world patiently waits. With every gentle breath, we drift a little farther from the familiar and a little closer to one of Earth's greatest mysteries. Very slowly, we leave the bright surface behind. The gentle sparkle above us grows softer with every passing moment. The waves still move peacefully, but they are becoming distant now, like a memory slowly drifting away. The water around us changes almost without notice. The brilliant turquoise colors fade into deeper shades of blue. The warmth of the sun becomes gentler. The light no longer reaches every corner. Instead, it filters down in long, shimmering columns, like sunlight passing through the tall windows of an ancient cathedral. This part of the ocean is often called the twilight zone. Scientists know it as the mesopelagic zone. It begins at about 200 meters below the surface and stretches down to nearly 1,000 meters. Here, day and night begin to lose their meaning. Even at noon, the light is dim. No plants can survive this deep. Without enough sunlight, photosynthesis quietly comes to an end. The underwater forests above us disappear. Coral reefs slowly fade from view. The busy neighborhoods of colorful fish become fewer and farther apart. Yet this place is far from empty. Life simply changes, finding remarkable new ways to exist. As your eyes adjust to the dimness, you notice tiny flashes of light. One, then another. Soon, hundreds of soft blue and green glows appear around you. It feels almost like drifting through a peaceful night sky filled with floating stars. These lights are alive. Many animals here create their own light. The process is called bioluminescence. Tiny chemical reactions inside their bodies produce a gentle glow without creating heat. It is one of nature's quiet miracles. Some creatures use light to attract food. Others use it to communicate. Some simply use it to disappear. Imagine looking upward from below. The faint sunlight above creates a pale silhouette. A hungry predator swimming beneath might notice that outline. To avoid being seen, certain fish produce light on the undersides of their bodies. They carefully match the brightness of the water above them. From below, their shadow simply vanishes. Nature has invented camouflage using light itself. Nearby, a lanternfish drifts through the darkness. It is only a few inches long. Nothing about it seems extraordinary at first glance. Yet lanternfish are among the most numerous vertebrates on Earth. There may be hundreds of billions of them living throughout the world's oceans. Every evening, they begin one of the greatest migrations on our planet. Not across land, but through water. As darkness falls above, they slowly rise toward the surface to feed. Before sunrise, they quietly return to the depths. Every single day, trillions of small creatures make this remarkable journey. Together, they move more living weight than any migration on Earth. The ocean carries them silently, without roads, without maps, only guided by ancient rhythms written deep inside their bodies. As we continue descending, the pressure increases steadily. At this depth, it is already many times greater than the air pressure at sea level. Yet the animals around us seem completely peaceful. Their bodies are perfectly suited for this invisible weight. They have never known anything different. Many fish here have enormous eyes. Every tiny bit of light matters. Some eyes are almost tubular, designed to look upward, watching for the faintest silhouette drifting above. Others rely less on vision, using sensitive organs to detect tiny movements in the surrounding water. Every ripple tells a story. Every vibration carries information. Far ahead, something almost transparent floats slowly past. It is a giant siphonophore. Although it appears to be a single animal, it is actually a colony. Thousands of tiny specialized organisms live together, each performing its own task. Some capture food, some reproduce, some help the colony move. Together, they function as one extraordinary living ribbon, sometimes stretching longer than the largest whale. Nature often reminds us that cooperation can build something astonishing. The temperature around us continues to fall. The water feels cool now, only a few degrees above freezing, yet it remains remarkably stable. Storms from the surface no longer reach this far. The ocean has become wonderfully calm. There is no crashing surf, no roaring wind, only slow currents, moving almost too gently to notice. If you could remain here for hours, you might feel as though time itself had slowed. The quiet becomes almost physical. A peaceful stillness surrounds everything. Above us, The last traces of daylight grow faint. Below, a deeper darkness patiently awaits. With another slow breath, we continue our gentle descent toward a world where sunlight has never reached. We continue downward. Slowly, almost effortlessly, the faint blue glow above us becomes smaller with every passing moment. Soon, even that disappears. For the first time on our journey, we enter a place where the sun has never truly arrived. This is the midnight zone. Scientists call it the bathypelagic zone. It begins around 1,000 meters beneath the surface and reaches down to nearly 4,000 meters. Here, day does not exist. Neither does night. There is only darkness, endless, complete, and surprisingly peaceful. If you stretched out your hand, you would not see your fingers. There is no horizon, no sky, no shadows, only the quiet embrace of deep water surrounding you in every direction. Imagine sitting comfortably inside a small research submersible. Its gentle lights illuminate only a tiny circle around you. Beyond that soft glow, the ocean remains wonderfully mysterious. The silence feels almost sacred. Far above, storms may be crossing the sea. Ships may be sailing from one continent to another. Millions of people may be beginning their day. Yet none of that reaches this place. The deep ocean lives by its own quiet rhythm. The water temperature remains just a few degrees above freezing. It hardly changes throughout the year. Winter and summer become almost meaningless here. The seasons belong to the surface. The deep ocean simply continues, patiently, century after century. Outside the submersible, small white particles drift downward. Oceanographers sometimes call this marine snow. Despite its peaceful name, it is not frozen water. Instead, it is made from tiny fragments of life, bits of algae, microscopic shells, delicate remains of sea creatures, even tiny grains of dust carried from distant deserts eventually find their way into the ocean. Everything settles slowly, like gentle snowflakes falling through an underwater night. For many deep-sea animals, marine snow is an important source of food. The surface and the deep remain connected by this quiet, endless snowfall. Without it, much of the deep ocean would struggle to survive. As we drift onward, something catches your eye. A faint blue light appears in the distance. Then another, not bright enough to disturb the darkness. Only gentle pulses, like tiny lanterns swaying in a peaceful breeze. A jellyfish glides silently through the water. Its transparent bell expands, then slowly contracts. With each graceful movement, soft rings of blue light ripple across its body. There is no hurry, no destination, only slow, elegant motion. Nearby, a comb jelly floats by. Unlike true jellyfish, it creates shimmering rainbows instead of glowing light. Tiny rows of microscopic hairs beat in perfect rhythm, scattering the beam from our submersible into sparkling colors. For just a moment, the darkness fills with quiet flashes of violet, green, and silver. It is one of the most delicate light shows on Earth. No audience, no applause, only the ocean quietly revealing another secret. Far below us, an unusual fish drifts into view. Its body is almost black, so dark that it reflects almost no light at all. Scientists have discovered several deep-sea fish whose skin absorbs nearly every ray of light that reaches it. They become almost invisible, even when illuminated. Nature has mastered the art of disappearing. Another visitor approaches, slowly opening an enormous mouth. At first, its appearance may seem surprising, but there is nothing frightening here. The famous gulper eel has adapted to a world where meals are rare. Its huge mouth allows it to swallow prey that might otherwise escape. Its body behind that oversized mouth is remarkably slender, almost delicate. Every feature serves a simple purpose, making the most of the limited food available in this quiet world. Here, nothing is wasted. Energy is precious. Many animals move slowly, conserving every bit of strength. Some may wait days, or even weeks, before finding their next meal. Life in the deep ocean teaches patience unlike anywhere else on Earth. The pressure surrounding us has now become extraordinary. At this depth, it is hundreds of times greater than the air pressure at sea level. If you stacked dozens of fully loaded passenger airplanes on top of a single car, the force would still be difficult to imagine. Yet the creatures living here feel none of this burden. Their bodies contain very few empty spaces, without air-filled cavities to crush. They exist comfortably beneath a weight that would instantly destroy ordinary human equipment. Nature always finds remarkable solutions. Scientists continue studying these extraordinary animals. Some produce special proteins that protect their cells under crushing pressure. Others build flexible bodies instead of rigid skeletons. Every discovery teaches us something new, not only about life beneath the sea, but about the incredible adaptability of life itself. The deeper we travel, the more we realize how little humanity has explored. We know more about the surface of the moon than many parts of Earth's own ocean floor. Thousands of species likely remain undiscovered, quietly living their entire lives beneath miles of water, never seen by human eyes. There is something deeply humbling about that thought. Even on our own planet, mystery still exists. As our little submersible continues its calm descent, the darkness grows even older, even quieter. Ahead lies the vast abyss, a place where mountains disappear beneath endless plains, and where some of the deepest landscapes on Earth patiently wait for us to arrive. Our descent continues, steady, unhurried. The last drifting jellyfish slowly disappear into the darkness above. Ahead, the blackness begins to change, not because of light, but because a landscape is quietly emerging beneath us. Very gradually, the ocean floor comes into view. It is not rugged. It is not dramatic. Instead, it stretches endlessly in every direction. A peaceful plain beneath 4 or 5 kilometers of water. This is the abyssal plain, one of the largest landscapes on our planet. If you could somehow remove all the oceans, you would discover that enormous portions of Earth's surface are covered by these remarkably flat plains. Few people ever think about them, yet together, they occupy more space than deserts, grasslands, or forests. Imagine standing here, not on sand warmed by the sun, but on an ancient blanket of incredibly fine sediment. Tiny particles have been settling here for millions of years, each grain drifting slowly downward from the world above. Some pieces came from microscopic shells. Others arrived as volcanic ash carried across oceans by distant winds. Some may even be tiny fragments of meteorites that fell from space before gently settling onto the seafloor. Everything eventually comes to rest, the deeper we travel, the older the stories beneath our feet become. The sediment is astonishingly soft. In some places, a footprint from a research vehicle may remain visible for years. There are no strong waves to erase it. No rain, no wind. Almost nothing disturbs this peaceful world. Time itself seems to move differently here, as the lights from our submersible sweep across the plain. Life slowly appears, not in great crowds, but scattered quietly across the endless darkness. A pale sea cucumber inches across the seafloor. Its movement is so slow that it almost seems still. Patiently, it gathers tiny bits of organic material from the sediment. Nearby, a brittle star rests with its long arms spread across the mud. It waits quietly, feeling the faintest movements carried through the water. Farther away, a graceful sea lily reaches upward like an underwater flower. Although it resembles a plant, it is actually an animal. Its feather-like arms gently filter tiny particles drifting in the current. Life has found elegance, even in the deepest silence. Our lights reveal another remarkable visitor, a Dumbo octopus. Its nickname comes from the pair of rounded fins extending from either side of its head. With slow, gentle movements, those fins flap gracefully. It does not dart through the water. Instead, it seems almost to float through a dream. Unlike many octopuses living in shallow seas, this peaceful creature spends its entire life in deep darkness. Few humans have ever seen one in its natural home. Watching it glide silently through the abyss feels almost like witnessing a quiet secret. The ocean floor itself tells an extraordinary story. Although it appears perfectly still, it is always changing. Far below the sediment, the Earth's crust continues its slow movement. The great tectonic plates drift only a few centimeters each year. That pace seems impossibly slow. Yet over millions of years, entire oceans are created, mountains rise, and continents slowly reshape themselves. The deep sea patiently records every chapter of that endless history. Occasionally, our instruments detect gentle hills rising from the plain. These are underwater volcanoes. Most are long extinct. Others remain quietly active beneath the immense pressure of the sea. Some never reach the surface. Hidden completely beneath the ocean, they quietly built mountains taller than many peaks found on land. In fact, most of Earth's volcanoes are underwater. Many people imagine volcanoes only as fiery mountains reaching into the sky. Yet beneath the oceans, an even greater volcanic world exists, invisible beneath miles of water. Here, molten rock slowly creates new ocean crust. Earth is constantly renewing itself, even in places no sunlight has ever touched. As we continue drifting, the silence feels deeper than ever. There are no engines nearby, no distant cities, no aircraft overhead, only the gentle hum of our submersible and the quiet rhythm of your own breathing. Imagine resting here for a while, looking through the wide observation window, watching tiny particles drift endlessly downward, each one following its own slow journey. Nothing rushes, nothing demands attention. The abyss teaches a different way of thinking, not measured in minutes or hours, but in thousands, even millions of years. Scientists sometimes compare this landscape to outer space. Both are cold, dark, immensely vast, and still waiting to be explored. Ironically, Humanity has mapped the Moon and Mars in greater detail than much of this peaceful seafloor. There are valleys here that no person has ever seen directly. There are animals that have never been photographed. There are discoveries quietly waiting, patiently, for future generations. Yet our journey is not finished. Far ahead, the flat plain begins to change once again. The seafloor slowly bends downward. At first, only slightly, then more noticeably, the gentle landscape gives way to a massive slope, leading toward the deepest places our planet has to offer. Somewhere beyond that dark horizon lies an underwater canyon so profound that Mount Everest could stand inside it and still remain beneath the surface of the sea. With calm hearts and quiet curiosity, we continue our peaceful descent toward the great ocean trenches. The gentle slope beneath us becomes steeper. The endless abyssal plain slowly fades behind. Ahead, the seafloor begins to fall away into an enormous valley, not carved by rivers, not shaped by glaciers, but created by the slow movement of our planet itself. Welcome to the ocean trenches. These are the deepest natural places on Earth. If the oceans could suddenly disappear, the trenches would stretch across the seafloor like enormous scars, thousands of miles long, hundreds of miles wide, and deeper than almost anything we can easily imagine. Our small research submersible continues its careful descent. Its lights reveal towering walls rising into darkness above us. They are not smooth. They are layered with ancient rock, broken cliffs, and soft sediments that have quietly settled over millions of years. Everything feels calm, silent, timeless. These trenches exist because Earth's outer shell is constantly moving. The surface of our planet is divided into enormous tectonic plates. Very slowly, usually only a few centimeters each year, these massive plates drift across the Earth's mantle. Eventually, some of them meet. When a dense oceanic plate collides with another plate, it bends downward, sliding back into Earth's interior. Scientists call this process subduction, where that slow bending occurs. A deep trench is born. It is remarkable to think that the greatest valleys on Earth are still being shaped today, not by sudden events, but by movements so slow that a human lifetime would barely notice them. The Pacific Ocean contains many of the world's deepest trenches. The Tonga Trench, the Kermadec Trench, the Philippine Trench, and perhaps the most famous of them all, the Mariana Trench. Even after decades of exploration, these places remain among the least visited landscapes on our planet. The pressure around us continues to rise. Every few meters, the invisible weight of the ocean grows greater. It is difficult to imagine. Above us now, several miles of seawater rest peacefully. Every drop adds its own tiny amount of pressure. Together, they create a force unlike anything experienced on land. Yet inside our carefully designed submersible, everything remains quiet. Warm lights glow softly. The instruments hum gently. Outside, the ocean carries on without urgency. Looking through the thick observation window, you notice the trench walls stretching upward into darkness. Some sections rise almost vertically. Others slope gently beneath blankets of soft sediment. Occasionally, small rocks tumble silently down the slope. Gravity works here, just as it does on the highest mountains. Only everything happens much more slowly. In places, Cold currents carry fine particles along the trench floor. Over thousands of years, those tiny grains slowly reshape the landscape. The deepest valleys are never truly still. They simply change at a pace almost beyond human perception. A small shrimp-like creature scurries across the mud. Nearby, a pale snailfish glides effortlessly through the water. Its body appears soft, almost delicate, yet it has evolved to live where very few vertebrates can survive. Instead of thick armor, it relies on remarkable chemistry inside its cells. Special molecules help protect its proteins from the crushing pressure. Nature often surprises us. Sometimes, strength is not about being harder. Sometimes, it is about remaining flexible. Our lights reveal tiny white anemones attached to scattered rocks. Feathery worms gently wave in the slow current. Minute crustaceans search patiently for food. Although this place seems empty at first, closer observation reveals countless small lives quietly continuing their daily routines. Every creature here has solved the same extraordinary challenge: how to live peacefully beneath one of the greatest pressures found anywhere on Earth. As we descend farther, the trench grows wider. The walls seem to disappear into darkness above. The floor stretches ahead like a broad valley, covered with smooth gray sediment. It is strangely beautiful. The silence feels complete. There are no birds, no wind, no waves, only drifting particles, and the slow rhythm of the deep sea itself. Scientists often describe exploring these trenches as visiting another world. In many ways, they are right. Conditions here are so different from life on land that entirely unique ecosystems have evolved. Many of the animals found in one trench may never travel to another, separated by immense underwater distances. Each trench becomes its own quiet island, hidden beneath the sea. Imagine how many species may still remain undiscovered. Some may have lived here for millions of years, completely unknown to humanity. Perhaps even now, a small creature is gliding peacefully through the darkness, waiting to be seen for the very first time. That thought carries a certain comfort. Even in our modern age, Earth still holds mysteries, not because they are impossible to find, but because they patiently wait in places where few people ever go. Far below us, the instruments begin recording an astonishing depth. We are approaching a place unlike any other, the lowest known point on our entire planet. A place where the ocean reaches farther downward than Mount Everest reaches upward. Very soon, we will arrive at the quiet floor of Challenger Deep, the deepest place known on Earth. The numbers on our instruments continue to climb. 9,000 meters, 10,000. Still, we descend. Outside the observation window, the darkness remains complete. Yet somehow, it no longer feels empty. It feels peaceful, comforting, like standing beneath a clear night sky where silence itself has become part of the landscape. Ahead, the floor of the trench slowly comes into view. The slope becomes gentler. The valley widens. At last, after traveling farther downward than almost any place on Earth, we arrive. Welcome to Challenger Deep, the deepest known point in all of Earth's oceans. Located within the southern end of the Mariana Trench in the western Pacific Ocean, this remarkable place reaches nearly 11 kilometers beneath the sea. That is almost 7 miles below the surface. To picture such depth, Imagine placing Mount Everest into this trench. Its summit would still remain beneath the ocean, covered by well over a mile of water. It is a number so large that the human mind almost refuses to imagine it. Yet here we are, resting peacefully on the deepest known seafloor of our planet. The sediment beneath us looks surprisingly gentle. Soft gray mud stretches quietly into the darkness. Tiny ripples cross its surface, created by slow currents moving almost too gently to notice. There are no towering cliffs here, no dramatic peaks, only a calm landscape, hidden farther beneath the sea than anywhere else humans have measured. Outside, the pressure is extraordinary, more than 1,000 times greater than the air pressure at sea level. Every square inch of our submersible is carrying an incredible burden. Yet inside, everything feels calm. The lights glow warmly. The air is quiet. The instruments quietly record one of the most remarkable places on Earth. Only a handful of people have ever visited Challenger Deep in person. Far fewer than have walked on the moon. The first successful descent took place in 1960. Swiss engineer Jacques Picard and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh reached the bottom inside a remarkable submersible called Trieste. Their journey lasted hours. When they finally touched the seafloor, they described an astonishing stillness. Nothing rushed. Nothing stirred, only fine sediment gently settling around them. More than half a century later, technology allowed a few more explorers to visit. Each journey reminded us of the same simple truth. Even today, Earth still holds places that almost no human has ever seen. As our lights sweep slowly across the bottom, life quietly appears. A tiny amphipod hops across the sediment, barely larger than your fingernail. It is perfectly adapted to this immense pressure. Nearby, delicate single-celled organisms called xenophyophores rest on the seafloor, although they resemble small stones. Some are among the largest single cells ever discovered. Their simple appearance hides remarkable complexity. Even at the deepest point on Earth, life has found a way. Scientists continue to discover bacteria living beneath the sediment. These microscopic organisms survive without sunlight. Some obtain energy from chemical reactions occurring within the rocks themselves. Long before humans understood such ecosystems, life had already mastered them. Perhaps that is one of nature's greatest lessons. Wherever conditions seem impossible, life patiently searches for another path. The temperature here remains just above freezing, almost unchanged throughout the year. No sunrise ever arrives. No sunset ever fades. The darkness has remained nearly constant for millions of years. Imagine spending your entire existence without ever seeing the sky, without ever watching clouds drift overhead, without knowing the warmth of sunlight. Yet the creatures here do not miss those things. They evolved in a different world. To them, this quiet darkness is simply home. Something else becomes noticeable. The stillness has its own sound, not complete silence, but the gentle hum of the submersible, the faint movement of water against its hull, and your own slow breathing. Nothing else. It is difficult to imagine a quieter place anywhere on Earth. Far above us, the Pacific Ocean continues its endless motion. Storms rise and disappear. Whales migrate across thousands of miles. Ships cross from continent to continent. Children play on sunny beaches. Entire generations are born. live, and pass away. Meanwhile, here at Challenger Deep, almost nothing changes. The deep ocean measures time differently, not by days, but by geological ages. A single grain of sediment settling onto the seafloor may become part of a layer that remains undisturbed for tens of thousands of years. The deepest place on Earth quietly remembers everything. Ash from distant volcanic eruptions, dust carried by ancient winds, microscopic shells from organisms that lived long before human civilization. Each layer becomes another page in Earth's silent history book. Looking out through the observation window, you might expect to feel isolated. Instead, many people describe something very different. A profound sense of connection. Standing at the bottom of the deepest ocean reminds us that our planet is far larger, far older, and far more mysterious than our everyday lives suggest. There is comfort in knowing that mystery still exists. Not every question has been answered. Not every corner has been explored. Some places remain exactly as nature intended, quiet, patient, and beautifully untouched. We rest here for just a little while longer, allowing this extraordinary silence to settle around us, before beginning another gentle journey, not downward this time, but across the hidden landscapes that surround the deepest place in the ocean. After spending quiet moments at Challenger Deep, our journey gently continues, not upward, but across another hidden corner of the deep ocean. The seafloor beneath us slowly changes. The soft gray sediment gives way to darker volcanic rock. Ancient lava flows stretch across the landscape. Cracks wind through the crust like gentle rivers frozen in stone. Far below these rocks, our planet is still very much alive. The Earth's interior remains incredibly hot. Heat rises slowly through the oceanic crust, warming seawater that has seeped deep into tiny fractures. Eventually, that heated water finds its way back to the seafloor. What happens next is one of the most extraordinary sights anywhere on Earth. In the distance, a faint shimmering appears. It almost looks like heat rising above a quiet desert road. As we move closer, tall stone chimneys slowly emerge from the darkness. Some stand only a few feet high. Others tower as tall as a small building. From their tops, dark mineral-rich water pours steadily into the cold sea. Scientists call these remarkable places hydrothermal vents. They are sometimes known as black smokers because the hot water carries tiny mineral particles that resemble black smoke. Of course, it is not smoke at all. It is simply warm water, rich with dissolved minerals gathered during its journey through the Earth's crust. The temperatures inside these vent fluids can exceed 350 degrees Celsius, hotter than boiling water at the surface. Yet, because of the crushing pressure here, the water never forms bubbles. Instead, it flows peacefully into the freezing ocean around it. Imagine watching warm mist rise on a cold winter morning. Now imagine that happening deep beneath the sea, in complete darkness. The effect is surprisingly beautiful. The hot water twists slowly upward, mixing gently with the surrounding ocean. Minerals begin to cool. Tiny crystals form, layer by layer. They build the tall chimneys standing before us. Some chimneys continue growing for decades. Others eventually collapse, only to begin forming once again. Even in the deepest ocean, the Earth is constantly creating something new. Perhaps the most astonishing discovery is not the vents themselves, but the life surrounding them. At first, scientists believed nothing could survive here. After all, there is no sunlight, no plants, no photosynthesis. Yet when deep-sea explorers first visited hydrothermal vents in the late 1970s, they found entire communities of living creatures. It completely changed our understanding of life on Earth. Instead of relying on sunlight, many microorganisms here use chemicals dissolved in the vent water. Hydrogen sulfide, a substance with the familiar smell of rotten eggs at the surface, becomes a valuable energy source in the deep. These tiny microbes perform a process called chemosynthesis. They create food using chemical energy rather than sunlight. It is another reminder that nature often finds more than one solution. Around the vents, life flourishes. Giant tube worms rise from the seafloor. Some grow over 2 meters long. Bright red plumes extend from their white protective tubes. They have no mouths, no stomachs, no digestive system at all. Instead, helpful bacteria living inside their bodies produce all the nutrients they need. It is one of the most remarkable partnerships found anywhere in nature. Nearby, white crabs carefully explore the rocks. Deep-sea shrimp gather close to the warm water. Tiny snails slowly move across mineral-coated surfaces. Each species has discovered its own peaceful place within this unusual environment. The contrast is striking. Only a short distance away, the seafloor appears almost empty. Yet around each vent, life gathers in abundance, like a small oasis surrounded by an enormous desert. Scientists believe these hidden ecosystems may offer clues about the earliest chapters of life on Earth. Billions of years ago, before our atmosphere contained much oxygen, similar environments may have existed across the young planet. Some researchers even wonder whether life's first simple cells began in places much like these. It is a beautiful thought that every tree, every bird, every whale, and every person may ultimately share ancient connections with tiny organisms living around warm volcanic springs beneath the sea. The idea reaches even farther. If life can exist here, in darkness, under crushing pressure, using only chemistry for energy, then perhaps distant worlds with hidden oceans could also support simple life. Moons such as Europa, orbiting Jupiter, or Enceladus, orbiting Saturn, may hide deep oceans beneath thick layers of ice. No one knows what might exist there. The deep ocean quietly reminds us to keep wondering, not because mystery demands answers, but because curiosity itself is one of humanity's greatest gifts. Our submersible slowly circles one final vent. Its warm, mineral-rich water rises gently into the darkness. Behind us, the glowing chimneys gradually disappear from view. Ahead, the deep ocean becomes peaceful once again, endless, silent, and wonderfully calm. The journey continues toward ancient underwater mountains, hidden volcanoes, and the immense ridges that quietly circle our entire planet beneath the sea, leaving the warm glow of the hydrothermal vents behind. Our quiet journey continues. The water around us is once again cool, dark, and wonderfully still. There is no sunrise to guide us, no stars above, only the soft beam of our submersible, sweeping gently across the hidden landscape. Slowly, the seafloor begins to rise, not sharply, but almost imperceptibly. For many miles, the ground beneath us climbs upward. It feels as though we are crossing a vast underwater continent. Ahead, a mountain appears, then another. Soon, an entire chain stretches beyond the reach of our lights. This is the mid-ocean ridge, the longest mountain range on Earth. Few people realize it exists. It lies almost entirely beneath the sea, hidden beneath thousands of meters of water. If all the oceans suddenly vanished, this enormous mountain system would circle the entire planet. It extends for nearly 65,000 kilometers, more than 4 times longer than the Andes, and far longer than the Himalayas. It is Earth's greatest mountain range, yet almost no one has ever seen it. Imagine standing on one of these peaks. Above you, miles of ocean. Beyond your view, thousands of mountains continue into the darkness. No trees, no birds, no clouds, only ancient volcanic rocks stretching farther than imagination. This remarkable ridge marks the places where Earth's tectonic plates slowly move apart. Instead of colliding, they gently separate. Molten rock rises from deep within the mantle. As it cools, it becomes brand new ocean floor. Every single day, without anyone noticing, our planet quietly creates more crust beneath the sea. The process is astonishingly slow. Most plates separate by only a few centimeters each year. About as fast as your fingernails grow, yet over millions of years. Those tiny movements reshape entire oceans. The Atlantic Ocean itself continues to widen, little by little, year after year. It is a reminder that even the largest changes often begin almost invisibly. The mountains surrounding us are surprisingly rugged. Ancient lava has frozen into twisted shapes. Steep cliffs rise from the seafloor. Deep cracks run through the volcanic rock. Some valleys are so wide that entire cities could rest comfortably inside them. Along the center of the ridge, a long rift valley quietly follows the path where the plates continue pulling apart. It is here, far beneath the waves, that new sections of our planet are born. Imagine touching one of these rocks. It would feel cool now, covered by tiny marine organisms. Yet millions of years ago, it emerged glowing with incredible heat. Time transforms everything. Even fire eventually becomes stone. As our lights sweep across the ridge, life slowly appears once again. Bright white sponges cling to rocky ledges. Soft corals spread delicate branches into the gentle current. Tiny shrimp move carefully among the crevices. A deep sea star rests peacefully against dark volcanic stone. Everything feels wonderfully unhurried. Currents move slowly across the mountains, carrying tiny particles of food from distant waters. Many creatures simply wait, patiently collecting whatever the ocean provides. In the deep sea, patience is often the greatest survival skill. Far above us, the surface ocean may be restless. Storm waves crash against distant shores. Ships travel between continents. But here, nothing interrupts the quiet rhythm of the mountains. Some sections of the ridge are covered with extinct volcanoes. Others remain gently active. Every so often, fresh lava quietly reaches the seafloor, creating new rock that will someday become part of another continent's distant geological story. Scientists have discovered unusual microbes living deep inside these volcanic rocks. Tiny organisms survive within microscopic cracks. far below the seafloor itself. Some receive energy from chemical reactions occurring naturally inside the Earth. Their existence reminds us once again, life often appears wherever even the smallest opportunity exists. As we glide above one broad ridge, the beam from our submersible catches something unexpected, an ancient lava pillar, standing quietly like the weathered ruins of an old castle. Nearby, rounded basalt formations resemble giant stone cushions stacked one upon another. These are called pillow lavas. When molten rock erupts beneath the ocean, cold seawater cools its surface almost instantly. The lava bulges outward into rounded shapes, creating formations that look remarkably like oversized pillows resting peacefully across the seafloor. Every rock tells part of Earth's story, not through words, but through shape, texture, and time. Perhaps the most comforting thought is this: even beneath the deepest oceans, our planet is never truly asleep. It breathes, it shifts, it quietly creates new landscapes while old ones slowly disappear. All without hurry, all with extraordinary patience. Our little submersible follows the ridge for many peaceful miles. Eventually, the mountains begin to fade once again. Ahead, the seafloor becomes smoother. The darkness opens into another vast expanse. Somewhere beyond, ancient giants are moving slowly through the water. Creatures whose ancestors swam the oceans long before humans existed. The deep sea still has many remarkable neighbors waiting to meet us. And our gentle journey continues. We leave the underwater mountains behind, gliding once more into the wide, silent darkness. The beam from our submersible reaches only a short distance ahead. Beyond that, the ocean stretches into infinity. It is easy to imagine that nothing lives here. Yet the deep sea is far from empty. Its inhabitants simply move with remarkable patience. Every creature has learned to conserve energy. Nothing is hurried. Nothing is wasted. This is a world where survival favors calm movements, quiet observation, and extraordinary adaptation. Far ahead, a large shadow slowly appears. At first, it seems almost like a drifting cloud. Then, the graceful outline becomes clear. A deep sea shark, unlike the fast hunters of shallow tropical seas. This shark swims with gentle confidence. There is no sudden burst of speed, no frantic chase, only slow, steady motion. Among the oldest of these deep water travelers is the Greenland shark. Although it usually lives in the cold waters of the North Atlantic and Arctic rather than the deepest trenches, it reminds us how differently time flows beneath the sea. Scientists believe some Greenland sharks may live for nearly 400 years. Imagine that. One individual may have already been quietly swimming through dark oceans while Shakespeare was still writing his plays. Before telescopes revealed distant galaxies, before electricity lit our cities, that same peaceful shark may already have been alive. Its body grows slowly. Its heart beats calmly. Its life unfolds at a pace few other vertebrates can match. The ocean has become its clock. Nearby, a ghostly shape drifts downward. It is a giant squid. For centuries, sailors spoke of enormous squid that lived in the deep. Many people believed they were only legends. Then, modern science confirmed they were real, although sightings remain rare. These remarkable animals spend most of their lives hidden in the darkness. Their enormous eyes, among the largest in the animal kingdom, help them detect the faintest traces of light. Imagine floating through complete darkness, where even the smallest glow could mean food or danger. Those remarkable eyes quietly gather every available photon. The giant squid disappears almost as quickly as it arrived, leaving only the gentle memory of its graceful arms fading into black water. Far above, a distant clicking sound travels through the ocean. It is not loud, only soft, rhythmic, almost musical. The sound belongs to a sperm whale. Although these magnificent animals must return to the surface to breathe, they regularly dive more than 2,000 meters in search of squid. For over an hour, they navigate the darkness using echolocation. Each click travels through the water, reflecting from distant objects before returning as echoes to the whale. Those echoes become an invisible map, even where eyes cannot see. Sound reveals the hidden world. Imagine listening so carefully that every echo paints a picture around you. The ocean is filled with conversations we rarely notice. Deep-sea fish, shrimp, whales, even shifting rocks create subtle sounds beneath the waves. The sea is never completely silent. It simply speaks in a language much slower and softer than the busy world above. As our submersible drifts onward, tiny flashes appear once again. Countless bioluminescent animals continue their quiet dance. Some glow for only a few seconds. Others produce long ribbons of blue light that slowly fade into darkness. Scientists estimate that most animals living in the deep ocean can produce light in some way. It is perhaps the largest natural light show on Earth, yet almost no human eyes ever witness it. There is something wonderfully comforting about beauty that exists, whether anyone sees it or not. Nature does not perform only for an audience. It simply expresses itself, patiently, endlessly. Nearby, a fragile glass sponge clings to an ancient rock. Unlike ordinary bath sponges, its delicate skeleton is built from microscopic strands of silica. Some species create structures so intricate that engineers continue studying them today. Even without architects, nature quietly designs extraordinary works of art. As we continue, the ocean reminds us that size is not the measure of importance. Tiny bacteria sustain entire ecosystems. Minute plankton support giant whales. Simple microbes living near volcanic vents help reveal how life may have begun. Every creature, no matter how small, has its own place within this immense underwater world. The deep ocean is often described as harsh. In many ways, it certainly is. Yet watching these peaceful animals, it feels equally gentle. No creature wastes unnecessary energy. No movement is hurried. Everything follows rhythms refined over millions of years. Perhaps there is something we can learn from that. The ocean never rushes. It simply continues, one current at a time, one tide at a time, one quiet heartbeat after another. As our lights slowly sweep across the water ahead, something new begins to appear. Not an animal, not a mountain, but countless tiny particles, floating gently downward from the distant world above. The deep sea is receiving another silent gift, an endless snowfall that has never known winter. The beautiful phenomenon scientists call marine snow, and with another slow, peaceful breath, we drift gently onward, As we drift quietly through the darkness, you may notice something unusual: tiny white specks floating slowly downward. There are thousands of them, then millions. They fall so gently that they almost seem suspended in place. If you had never visited the deep ocean before, you might believe it was snow. In a way, it is. Scientists call this endless shower marine snow. Unlike the snow that falls from winter clouds, marine snow never melts. It is not made of frozen water. Instead, it is made from life itself. Tiny fragments of microscopic algae, minute shells, soft pieces of jellyfish, invisible grains of organic matter, even dust carried across continents by the wind. Everything that reaches the ocean eventually begins a long, patient journey downward. Imagine dropping a single feather from the top of a cathedral. It would drift, turn gently, and slowly settle toward the floor. Marine snow behaves much the same way. Some particles may need weeks to reach the deep sea, others, months. The smallest fragments may continue drifting for years before finally resting on the ocean floor. There is no hurry. Gravity patiently completes its quiet work. As we watch, one tiny particle passes the window of our submersible. To us, it seems insignificant, but somewhere below, a small crustacean may depend upon that single fragment for its next meal. In the deep ocean, nothing is wasted. Everything becomes part of another story. Marine snow connects every layer of the sea. The bright surface, filled with sunlight, supports the dark world below. Without this steady snowfall, most deep ocean ecosystems could not survive. It is a beautiful reminder that distant places are often connected in quiet ways we rarely notice. The leaves that fall in a forest nourish the soil. Clouds formed above the ocean eventually become rain over distant mountains. And tiny organisms living near the surface quietly feed creatures living miles beneath the waves. Nature loves connections. Our lights reveal small animals gathering the drifting particles. Tiny shrimp carefully reach into the current. Sea cucumbers slowly collect food from the sediment. Delicate worms extend feathery arms, waiting patiently for each nutritious fragment to arrive. No hunting, no chasing, simply waiting. The deep sea teaches that patience can be remarkably successful. Some scientists describe marine snow as the ocean's recycling system. Nothing truly disappears. When microscopic plankton finish their lives near the surface, their remains begin supporting another community far below. Eventually, those nutrients may rise once again through deep currents, returning to the surface after hundreds, or even thousands, of years. The ocean quietly recycles almost everything. Imagine following a single grain of marine snow. It begins as a tiny phytoplankton cell floating beneath bright sunshine. A small fish eats it. Later, fragments sink into deeper water. A shrimp consumes those particles. The shrimp becomes food for a larger animal. Eventually, the remaining nutrients settle into the sediment. Years later, powerful ocean currents slowly lift some of those nutrients upward again. The journey continues. One tiny particle, traveling through an endless cycle lasting centuries. Nothing in nature exists alone. Every living thing belongs to a much larger story. As our submersible drifts onward, we pass through thicker clouds of marine snow. The particles sparkle softly within our lights. For a moment, it almost feels as though we are floating through a peaceful winter evening. Except instead of cold air, there is calm seawater. Instead of snowflakes, tiny gifts from the surface world. Far above us, whales continue swimming beneath the sunlight. Schools of fish cross coral reefs. Storms move across the Pacific. Moonlight dances upon gentle waves. None of those places realize they are quietly feeding this hidden world below. Perhaps that is one of the ocean's greatest lessons. Acts of quiet support often happen without recognition. The surface never sees the deep ocean receiving its gifts. The deep ocean never asks for thanks. The cycle simply continues, steadily, faithfully, for millions of years. Scientists studying ancient layers of marine sediment often uncover extraordinary stories. Each thin layer contains tiny fossils, microscopic shells, volcanic ash, even traces of changes in Earth's climate long ago. Like pages inside an enormous history book, the seafloor remembers events that happened millions of years before humans existed. By carefully examining these layers, researchers have reconstructed ancient oceans, ice ages, mass extinctions, and periods when giant reptiles still ruled the continents. The deep sea quietly preserves Earth's memory. Few libraries can match its age. Even now, as we float peacefully through this endless snowfall, new pages are still being written, one tiny particle at a time, one gentle descent after another. Outside, the drifting white specks continue falling without sound. There is no beginning, no ending, only a quiet rhythm that has continued since long before humanity first looked toward the sea. With each slow breath, our own thoughts become lighter, calmer, as though they too are gently settling, like marine snow, into peaceful stillness. And somewhere ahead, the darkness begins to glow once again, not with sunlight, but with countless living lights. The ocean is preparing one final nighttime display, a silent galaxy of bioluminescent wonders waiting just beyond the darkness. The darkness ahead begins to shimmer. At first, only a single point of light appears, a tiny blue spark, no brighter than a distant star. Then another, and another. Soon, hundreds of gentle lights surround us. Some blink softly, some glow steadily. Others drift past like tiny lanterns carried by an invisible breeze. It feels less like traveling beneath the ocean, and more like floating peacefully through the night sky itself. Welcome to one of nature's most beautiful spectacles, the hidden galaxy of bioluminescence. Although we often think of stars as filling the heavens, the ocean contains its own universe of light. Scientists estimate that more than 3/4 of deep-sea animals are capable of producing light in one form or another. In this silent world, light has become one of life's most useful languages. Imagine standing outside on a clear autumn night. The Milky Way stretches from one horizon to the other. Thousands upon thousands of tiny lights sparkle quietly overhead. Now imagine turning that entire galaxy upside down and gently placing it beneath the sea. That is what the deep ocean sometimes feels like. Every glow around us is alive. Unlike a light bulb, these creatures produce light without creating noticeable heat. It is called cold light. Inside their bodies, special molecules react together in tiny chemical reactions, The result is remarkably efficient. Almost all of the energy becomes visible light. Very little is wasted. Even our most advanced electric lights are less efficient than many of these living organisms. Nature solved the problem long before humans ever imagined electricity. A tiny shrimp suddenly releases a cloud of glowing blue droplets. For a few seconds, the surrounding water sparkles brilliantly. Then, the light slowly fades away. The shrimp quietly disappears into the darkness. Some species use glowing clouds as a distraction, not unlike a magician creating a brief illusion before slipping away unnoticed. Nearby, a jellyfish pulses gently through the water. Each slow movement sends delicate rings of blue light across its transparent body. It appears almost weightless, like a glowing moon drifting peacefully through the sea. Farther away, long chains of tiny organisms float together. Each individual produces its own faint light. Together, they resemble strings of delicate holiday lights suspended in the darkness. No celebration, no audience, only quiet beauty. Imagine how extraordinary this world would appear if human eyes were naturally adapted to the deep ocean. The darkness would never seem empty. Instead, it would sparkle continuously. Tiny flashes, soft pulses, gentle ribbons of living light moving in every direction. One of the most fascinating hunters here is the anglerfish. Its appearance has become famous, yet in its own world, it is perfectly designed. A small glowing lure extends from the top of its head. The light gently sways in front of its mouth. Curious fish approach, thinking they have found a small meal. Instead, they discover the patient hunter waiting nearby. Even here, in complete darkness, nature has invented fishing with light. Not all glowing animals hunt. Many use light simply to recognize members of their own species. Others communicate during the brief mating season. Some glow only when disturbed. Others remain softly illuminated almost continuously. Each species speaks its own silent language. The ocean becomes a place where conversations happen without sound. Scientists continue discovering new forms of bioluminescence. Almost every expedition into the deep ocean reveals organisms never seen before. Some produce blue light, others glow green. A few create beautiful reds, although red light quickly disappears underwater. Every discovery reminds us that the deep sea still holds countless secrets. One especially beautiful phenomenon occurs when tiny plankton near the surface glow together. If waves disturb them at night, entire coastlines begin sparkling. The wake behind a passing boat becomes a glowing ribbon. Dolphins swimming through the water appear surrounded by shimmering blue trails. People who have witnessed this often describe it as magical, yet it is entirely real. Nature quietly creating beauty through chemistry. Our little submersible continues drifting among these living stars. The lights come and go without pattern. No two moments are ever quite the same. The deep ocean never repeats itself exactly. Even its darkness remains alive. Perhaps that is why so many explorers speak about feeling peaceful here. The absence of sunlight does not create emptiness. Instead, it reveals another kind of beauty, one that asks us to slow down, to notice small things, to appreciate quiet moments. As your breathing becomes slower, imagine these tiny lights surrounding you, not bright enough to wake you, only soft enough to guide your thoughts gently toward rest. Like distant stars, they ask for nothing. They simply shine, patiently, silently, beautifully, ahead. The water begins to brighten ever so slightly, not because dawn is approaching, but because our long journey is finally turning upward. After visiting the deepest places on Earth, it is time to begin the slow, peaceful return toward the distant sunlight waiting far above the sea. Our time in the deepest ocean is slowly coming to an end. The submersible turns gently, not with a sudden movement, only a quiet change of direction. For the first time in many hours, we begin to rise. There is no rush. The ascent will take a long time, just as every peaceful journey deserves. The darkness remains around us, but now, knowing what lives within it, it feels different. It no longer seems mysterious in the same way. It feels familiar, almost welcoming. We have seen glowing jellyfish, ancient sharks, volcanic mountains, hydrothermal vents, the deepest valley on Earth, and countless tiny creatures quietly carrying on their lives beneath miles of water. Each discovery has revealed something remarkable, not only about the ocean, but about our planet itself. As we slowly climb, the pressure outside begins to lessen, not quickly enough for us to notice, only gradually. The immense weight of the sea slowly becomes lighter. Above us, many kilometers of water still remain, yet somewhere, far beyond our sight, the sun is shining. Its light has been waiting patiently all this time. The ocean never forgets where the light is. It simply holds it at a distance. Our lights continue illuminating drifting particles. Marine snow still falls all around us, exactly as it did when we first noticed it. Nothing has changed. The deep ocean asks for no attention. It simply continues. Steady, calm, reliable. Perhaps that is why so many scientists return here. Every expedition reveals something unexpected, yet the ocean itself never seems surprised. It has quietly held these secrets for millions of years. Imagine all the explorers who dreamed of reaching these depths. Early sailors crossing unknown seas. Naturalists lowering simple instruments into dark water. Engineers building stronger submarines. Oceanographers patiently mapping the seafloor. Generation after generation, each adding one small piece to humanity's understanding. No single person discovered the deep ocean. It has always been a shared journey, one careful observation at a time. As we rise, the darkness begins to soften, not because the lights have grown brighter, but because a faint hint of blue slowly appears far above. It is almost impossible to notice at first, only a suggestion, a whisper of color. Then, little by little, the blue becomes clearer. We have reached the upper edge of the midnight zone once again. Some familiar travelers appear. Lanternfish drift silently upward. Their tiny lights flicker beneath them. A comb jelly glides gracefully past the observation window. Its transparent body catches the beam from our submersible, creating delicate rainbows that vanish almost immediately. Everything feels wonderfully peaceful. Even the animals seem to welcome our slow return. Higher still, the twilight zone begins. The water becomes a deep, her shade of blue. Sunlight, though still faint, returns after many hours of darkness. Long columns of pale light stretch downward through the water. They resemble enormous cathedral windows reaching toward the seafloor. For the first time since beginning our descent, natural light surrounds us once more. It feels warm, gentle, almost familiar. The colors of the ocean gradually return. Soft greens, gentle blues, hints of silver. Schools of fish appear once again. Their scales flash briefly before disappearing into the distance. A graceful sea turtle passes beneath us. Its slow movements seem perfectly suited to this peaceful world. Perhaps it has crossed entire oceans during its lifetime. Perhaps it has visited beaches thousands of miles apart. Yet every journey begins the same way, one calm stroke at a time. Far ahead, the surface finally appears, bright, shimmering, alive with dancing reflections. The waves above sparkle beneath the afternoon sun. The world we left behind now welcomes us home. Our submersible gently breaks through the surface. For a brief moment, everything becomes wonderfully bright. Fresh air, gentle waves, a cool breeze, the distant cries of seabirds, the familiar rhythm of the open sea. Looking back across the calm ocean, it is almost impossible to believe what lies beneath. Miles below the gentle waves, entire mountain ranges continue stretching across the planet. Deep trenches hold ancient secrets. Glowing creatures drift through eternal darkness. Volcanic springs quietly create new life. And Earth's deepest valleys remain exactly where they have always been, patiently waiting. The ocean asks for nothing. It simply exists, immense, beautiful, and endlessly mysterious. Perhaps that is the greatest gift of tonight's journey, not simply learning about the deepest places on Earth, but remembering that wonder still surrounds us, even in places we may never visit. Even beneath ordinary waves, as the evening sun slowly settles toward the horizon, allow yourself one final deep breath. Imagine the quiet rhythm of the sea, the gentle rise and fall of the waves, the soft calls of distant seabirds, and far below, the peaceful darkness continuing its timeless story. The deepest places in the ocean will still be there tomorrow, quietly waiting, just as they have for millions of years. And now, as your own thoughts become as calm as the sea, you can simply rest, knowing that somewhere beneath the waves, the hidden world continues its gentle rhythm. One silent current, one drifting snowflake, one peaceful heartbeat. Our journey has reached the surface once again, but the ocean still has one final story to share. The sea around us looks calm. Gentle waves rise, then quietly fall. Nothing seems to be moving very far. Yet beneath this peaceful surface, the entire ocean is slowly flowing. Imagine standing beside a great river. You can easily see the water moving downstream. Ocean currents are much like rivers, except they have no banks, no bridges, no beginning that the eye can see. Instead, they travel through the open sea. Some currents are warm, others are cold. Some move across entire oceans, carrying tiny living things, heat, nutrients, and even the memory of distant seasons. Scientists sometimes call this enormous system the global ocean conveyor belt. It is one of Earth's greatest journeys. Water that sinks into the deep Atlantic Ocean today may not return to the surface for nearly 1,000 years. Imagine beginning a journey today, knowing it would not end until centuries after your own lifetime. The ocean is wonderfully patient. Cold water near the poles becomes heavier. Slowly, it sinks toward the bottom of the sea. There, it begins an incredibly long voyage across the planet, moving only a few centimeters every second, hardly faster than a relaxed walking pace. Yet it never stops. Day after day, year after year, century after century. Eventually, that same water rises again in distant oceans, bringing fresh nutrients upward, helping support enormous blooms of plankton. Those tiny plants feed small fish. Small fish feed larger fish. Larger fish feed seals, whales, and seabirds. An entire chain of life begins with a current that nobody can see. As our boat drifts quietly, imagine placing a single leaf into the water. You watch it slowly float away. Perhaps the ocean is doing something similar, only on a planetary scale. Tiny larvae released by coral reefs may travel hundreds of miles before settling into a new home. Sea turtles ride favorable currents across entire oceans. Even humpback whales often follow paths shaped by these invisible rivers. The ocean quietly guides countless journeys. Perhaps that is why sailors have respected currents for thousands of years. Long before satellites, people noticed that certain routes seemed easier than others. Some ships returned home more quickly. Others struggled against unseen forces beneath the waves. Today, satellites can watch many of these currents from space. They reveal beautiful swirling patterns stretching across thousands of miles. Great spirals, called gyres, slowly rotate through the world's oceans. From above, they resemble giant fingerprints left upon the sea. Yet from the deck of a quiet boat, you would never know they were there. The ocean reminds us that some of the greatest forces in nature are almost invisible. The wind cannot be seen. Gravity has no color. Time has no sound. Ocean currents, like all of them, quietly shape the world without asking for attention. As evening settles over the water, the breeze becomes softer. Small ripples spread across the sea like silk. Somewhere beneath us, the deep ocean continues its endless rhythm. The mountain ranges remain. The trenches remain. The glowing creatures continue their silent dance. And the great currents, patient as ever, carry the heartbeat of the ocean around the world. With every slow breath, allow yourself to drift with them, calmly, peacefully, toward another quiet chapter of the sea. As the waves gently carry us onward, the ocean begins to tell another story, not about depth or pressure or remarkable creatures. This is the story of time itself. Imagine watching the earth from far above, not for a single day, but for billions of years. The continents would never appear still. They would drift, slowly, like enormous rafts floating upon a hidden sea of stone. Mountains would rise, then slowly wear away. Entire oceans would open, only to close again. The earth has never truly stopped changing. Long before the first forests appeared, long before birds filled the skies, the oceans were already here. In fact, liquid water has covered parts of our planet for more than 4 billion years. That means the sea has witnessed nearly every chapter of Earth's history. It has seen continents assemble into giant supercontinents. It has watched them separate again. It has welcomed the first simple cells, the first fish, the first reptiles, the first whales, and eventually, us. Imagine how many sunrises these waters have reflected. Not thousands, not millions, but billions. Each wave, a tiny continuation of an unimaginably ancient rhythm. The water surrounding our boat today may contain molecules that once drifted beside dinosaurs. Some may have fallen as rain upon ancient deserts. Others may have frozen inside glaciers long before human civilization began. Water rarely stays in one place forever. It travels, patiently, endlessly. A single drop may spend centuries locked inside deep ocean currents, then rise into the atmosphere, become part of a cloud, fall as rain onto a mountain, flow through a quiet river, return once again to the sea. Every drop carries its own extraordinary journey. Scientists often describe the ocean as Earth's greatest archive. Beneath countless layers of sediment, the seafloor quietly preserves the history of our planet. Tiny fossil shells, minute grains of volcanic ash, ancient pollen carried by forgotten winds, all settled gently onto the bottom, layer after layer, year after year, each becoming another page in a book written by nature. When researchers drill deep into those sediments, they can read stories from millions of years ago. They discover when climates changed, when ice ages arrived, when giant volcanoes erupted, even when massive asteroids altered life across the globe. The ocean remembers, not with words, but with layers. Perhaps nowhere is this patience more remarkable than in coral reefs. Some coral colonies have lived for centuries, growing only a few millimeters each year, one tiny layer after another, never rushing, always building. The limestone skeletons they leave behind eventually become enormous reefs, visible even from space. Great achievements often begin quietly. The deep ocean teaches that lesson again and again. Far below the surface, the mid-ocean ridge continues creating new crust. Elsewhere, old seafloor slowly disappears beneath tectonic plates. Nothing remains unchanged forever. Even the deepest trenches will one day transform into something new. Earth itself is alive with slow movement. Not hurried, not dramatic, simply constant. Imagine compressing the entire history of Earth into a single calendar year. The oceans would appear during the first months. Complex animals would not arrive until late autumn. Dinosaurs would rule only during the final week of December. Human civilization, everything from the pyramids to modern cities, would occupy only the final few seconds before midnight on New Year's Eve. Seen this way, the ocean has been patient for almost the entire story. It waited long before us, and it will continue long after us. That thought may seem enormous, yet it is also strangely comforting. The sea asks nothing from us. It simply reminds us that we belong to a much larger story, one that began billions of years ago and continues, wave after wave, current after current, generation after generation. The evening grows quieter now. The breeze softens. The surface of the water reflects the first stars appearing overhead. Above, a galaxy stretches across the night sky. Below, another hidden galaxy continues glowing beneath the waves, separated only by the thin silver surface of the sea. As our peaceful journey nears its end, the ocean offers one final gentle lesson. Everything changes, everything moves, everything belongs, and through it all, the sea remains calm, patient, and endlessly beautiful. The night has fully arrived. The sky above is filled with gentle stars. The sea below reflects them like polished glass. For a few peaceful moments, we simply drift, No destination, no schedule, only the slow rhythm of the waves. If you close your eyes for a moment, you might imagine that the ocean is silent, but it has never truly been silent. It has always been singing, not with melodies we might hum, but with a language carried through water, a language millions of years older than humanity. Imagine lowering a microphone beneath the surface. At first, you hear only a gentle rushing sound, soft bubbles, tiny ripples, the quiet movement of water itself. Then, another sound arrives, a deep, long, mournful note. It comes from far away, so far away that the whale creating it may be hundreds of miles from our little boat. Yet the sound reaches us. Water is an extraordinary traveler of sound. A whale's low call can cross enormous distances beneath the sea. Some of the deepest whale songs travel farther than sounds could through open air. To the whale, the entire ocean becomes one enormous conversation. Each slow note carries information, a greeting, a location, perhaps simply the reassurance that another whale is somewhere nearby. Imagine hearing a familiar voice carried gently across an entire ocean. No shouting, no urgency, only calm communication. The deep notes drift through the water, then slowly fade into silence once more. Not every ocean sound comes from animals. The sea itself creates music. Small waves softly tap against one another. Tiny bubbles burst beneath the surface. Currents slide across underwater rocks. Even distant icebergs release quiet cracking sounds as ancient ice slowly shifts. Far below, Earth itself sometimes speaks. Deep beneath the ocean floor, molten rock moves. Tectonic plates slowly adjust. Occasionally, very gentle earthquakes send low vibrations through the sea. Most are far too small for people to notice. Yet sensitive instruments quietly record them. Our planet is always moving, always breathing, even when everything appears perfectly still. Some fish communicate using gentle clicks. Certain shrimp produce surprisingly loud snapping sounds. Entire coral reefs create a constant background crackling, like the sound of a cozy fireplace heard from another room. To young fish searching for a home, that gentle crackling becomes a guide. They swim toward it, knowing healthy reefs are nearby. The ocean does not rely only on sight. Sound becomes another map, another compass, another quiet guide through the darkness. Scientists studying underwater acoustics have learned remarkable things simply by listening. They can estimate whale populations, monitor underwater volcanoes, track melting glaciers, even measure changes in ocean temperature. Sometimes, listening reveals more than looking. Perhaps there is wisdom in that. Our world often encourages us to keep looking ahead, searching, moving. But the ocean quietly reminds us that careful listening can reveal hidden stories. As our little boat rocks gently beneath the stars, the sounds become softer once again. A gentle splash against the hull, a distant wail, the whisper of the evening breeze. Nothing else. Imagine yourself wrapped in a warm blanket. The cool night air touches your face. Above, constellations slowly cross the sky. Below, the vast ocean continues humming its ancient lullaby. It has been singing this quiet song long before the first human ever listened, and it will continue long after we are gone. The rhythm never changes. Wave after wave, current after current, breath after breath. Slowly, Your own breathing begins matching the rhythm of the sea. A gentle inhale, like a wave rising. A peaceful exhale, like the tide slipping quietly back toward the horizon. There is no effort, no need to think. Simply breathe, as the ocean has always breathed. Patiently, calmly, endlessly. The stars above slowly grow brighter. The sea below grows darker. Yet somehow, the two no longer seem separate. The sky becomes another ocean. The ocean becomes another sky. Both vast, both peaceful, both filled with quiet wonders waiting to be discovered. And as our peaceful voyage continues beneath the starlight, one final story still remains. A story not about the ocean itself, but about what the deep sea quietly teaches everyone who takes the time to listen. The night has become wonderfully still. Our little boat drifts without effort. The stars above shine softly. The sea below reflects them like scattered diamonds. The wind has almost disappeared. Only the gentle breathing of the ocean remains. After traveling through the deepest valleys, across hidden mountains, past glowing creatures, and into places where sunlight has never reached, it is natural to wonder, what has the ocean been trying to teach us? Perhaps its greatest lessons are not about science alone. They are about patience. Imagine the tiny coral polyp. It grows only a few millimeters each year. No hurry, no race. Yet after centuries, it creates reefs so vast they can be seen from space. Great things often begin quietly. The ocean understands this. Think of the mighty ocean currents. They move so slowly that a person standing on a ship can barely notice them. Yet over centuries, they shape climates, carry warmth across continents, and help sustain nearly every ecosystem on Earth. Not every powerful force announces itself. Some work silently, day after day, year after year. Then there is the deep sea itself. It never competes with the surface. It does not ask to be admired. It simply exists, calmly, patiently, confident in what it is. There is a quiet wisdom in that. Far below, the creatures of the deep never waste unnecessary energy. Food is precious. Movement is thoughtful. Every action has purpose. Perhaps that is why everything there feels peaceful. Nothing rushes. Nothing panics. Nothing struggles to become something else. Each creature simply becomes exactly what its environment needs it to be. The Greenland shark lives for centuries. The tube worms flourish beside underwater volcanoes. Tiny bacteria survive without sunlight. Each life follows its own rhythm. None compares itself to another. The ocean has no need for comparison. Every current, every creature, every grain of sand belongs exactly where it is. Imagine sitting quietly beside the sea at sunset. You do not ask the waves to arrive faster. You do not hurry the tide. You simply watch. Somehow, watching the ocean makes slowing down feel natural. Perhaps because the sea has never hurried for anyone. It reminds us that time is not always something to defeat. Sometimes, it is something to experience. Scientists often speak about exploration. There are still enormous areas of the deep ocean that remain unmapped. Thousands, perhaps millions, of species may still wait quietly beneath the waves. There is something comforting about that. Even in our modern world, mystery still exists. There are still places where curiosity matters. Places where the next discovery may be waiting just beyond the reach of today's knowledge. The ocean reminds us that we do not need to know everything. Wonder itself is valuable. Children understand this naturally. They can spend long moments watching waves roll onto a beach, collecting shells, listening to water. As adults, we sometimes forget how peaceful simple curiosity can be. Yet the sea never forgets. It continues offering quiet moments to anyone willing to slow down. Now, imagine looking once more across the endless horizon. The stars above seem reflected below. The line between sea and sky almost disappears. For a moment, it feels as though you are floating between two infinities, one above, one below. Perhaps that is why people have always been drawn to the ocean, not because it gives easy answers, but because it gently reminds us how beautifully vast the universe truly is. Our little boat continues drifting. No destination now, only gentle movement. The waves rise, then fall, rise, then fall, almost matching the rhythm of your breathing. Inhale, like the tide coming home. Exhale, like the tide quietly returning to sea. Nothing more is needed. The deep ocean has already shared its stories. The mountains remain beneath the waves. The glowing creatures continue their silent dance. The currents continue their endless journeys around the world. And somewhere, nearly 11 kilometers below us, Challenger Deep rests in complete darkness, just as it has for millions of years. Quiet, patient, peaceful, the ocean will still be there tomorrow morning and tomorrow night, long after the stars fade into daylight. Its hidden world will continue exactly as it always has, a timeless reminder that some of the most extraordinary places in existence are also the quietest. Our voyage is almost complete. The night has grown wonderfully peaceful. The sea is calm. The stars shine quietly overhead. The breeze carries the gentle scent of salt, cool, clean, and timeless. Imagine that our little boat slowly rises higher, not into the air with noise or speed, but gently, as though lifted by a dream. The waves beneath us become smaller. The coastline fades into the distance. Soon, we are looking down upon the ocean from high above. At first, it seems endless, a vast blanket of deep blue stretching toward every horizon. Then, as we rise higher still, the curve of the earth slowly appears. The oceans reveal their true size. They cover more than 70% of our planet. From space, there are no borders across the sea, no roads, no fences, only one continuous ocean, connecting every continent, every island, every coastline, although we give it different names. The Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Southern, and the Arctic, they are all part of one great body of water, one enormous living system, quietly circulating around the world. Clouds drift lazily above the blue surface. Below them, the great currents continue their ancient paths. Far beneath those currents, the mountain ranges still stretch across the seafloor. The hydrothermal vents continue releasing warm, mineral-rich water. The glowing jellyfish continue their silent dance. The tiny bacteria continue their invisible work. Nothing has changed. Everything continues, exactly as it should. Perhaps that is one of the most comforting thoughts of all. The world does not depend upon our constant attention. Nature quietly carries on. The tides continue to rise and fall. The moon continues guiding the sea. The whales continue their migrations. The coral slowly grows. The marine snow continues falling through the darkness. The earth gently keeps turning beneath the stars. There is something deeply peaceful about that rhythm. Imagine looking at our planet from the window of a spacecraft. The atmosphere appears as only a thin blue line. So delicate, so fragile. Everything we have ever known exists beneath that tiny layer of air. Every forest, every mountain, every city, every person, and surrounding all of it. The endless ocean. It regulates Earth's climate, produces much of the oxygen we breathe, stores enormous amounts of heat, carries nutrients around the globe, supports millions of species, many of which remain undiscovered. Without the ocean, our planet would be almost unrecognizable. Yet despite everything we have learned, the sea still keeps many of its secrets. Scientists estimate that a large portion of the ocean floor remains unexplored in detail. Thousands of species almost certainly wait in places no human has yet visited. Even now, somewhere beneath the waves, a small creature may be quietly living its entire life, unknown to science. That thought does not make the world feel smaller. It makes it wonderfully larger. Mystery still exists. Discovery still waits. Wonder has not disappeared. Our journey tonight has carried us from sparkling surface waters, through the fading light of the twilight zone, into the endless darkness of the deep. We explored hidden mountains, ancient trenches, hydrothermal vents, living lights, and the quiet floor of Challenger Deep. Every stop revealed another reminder that beauty often lives where few people think to look. Now, as our imaginary voyage gently comes to rest, the ocean stretches peacefully beneath the stars. The waves continue their slow breathing. The wind whispers softly across the water. Somewhere below, far beyond sight, the deepest places on Earth remain exactly as we left them. Silent, patient, beautiful. If sleep has already begun to find you, allow it to come naturally. Like the tide, there is nothing left to do, nothing left to remember, only the gentle rhythm of your breathing, rising and falling, like the sea itself. May your dreams drift as peacefully as the ocean currents. May your thoughts become as quiet as the deep sea. And may tomorrow greet you with the same calm wonder that has always lived beneath the waves. Good night, and thank you for sharing this peaceful journey through the deepest places in the ocean. Our journey is nearly complete, yet the ocean has one final gift to offer. Not another hidden trench, not another remarkable creature, only a quiet reminder that while we rest, the sea continues its endless rhythm. Imagine yourself comfortably wrapped in a warm blanket. The gentle rocking of the boat has become almost impossible to notice. The waves lift you ever so slightly, then lower you again, like a peaceful cradle. Above, the stars slowly wheel across the night sky. The moon casts a silver path across the water. Each ripple catches the light for only a moment, before passing it gently to the next wave. Nothing holds onto the light. Everything simply shares it. Far below, the deep ocean is awake. Not busy, not hurried, simply alive. Tiny lanternfish begin their nightly migration toward the surface. Millions upon millions of them rise together. It is the largest migration on Earth, not across deserts, not through forests, but through the dark water itself. Each fish follows an ancient rhythm. No leader, no map, only instincts refined over countless generations. Nearby, a sperm whale begins another deep dive. With one final breath at the surface, it disappears into the darkness. Its powerful tail moves slowly, confidently. Soon, only a faint echo remains. Thousands of meters below, the whale searches patiently for giant squid. Hours later, it will quietly return to the surface, exhaling a gentle cloud into the cool night air. Elsewhere, sea turtles continue crossing entire oceans. Some navigate using Earth's magnetic field, almost like living compasses, after traveling thousands of miles. Many females return to the very same beach where they first emerged from their eggs decades earlier. The journey is astonishing, yet the turtle never seems rushed. It simply continues, one gentle stroke at a time, along distant coastlines. Coral reefs settle into nighttime. Tiny coral polyps extend delicate tentacles into the current, feeding quietly beneath the moonlight. Creatures hidden during the day now emerge. Small crabs wander carefully across the reef. Octopuses explore rocky crevices. Night belongs to a different community beneath the waves. Farther north, cold Arctic waters quietly freeze along the edges. Tiny crystals of sea ice begin forming. Farther south, warm tropical currents continue carrying heat toward distant continents. Every ocean, every climate, every coastline, connected through one immense system. The sea never pauses, yet it never hurries. Even the tides continue their patient dance. Twice each day, the moon gently pulls upon Earth's oceans. Billions of tons of seawater slowly rise, then slowly fall. The moon never touches the sea, yet its quiet influence reaches every shore. Imagine standing on a lonely beach, listening as each wave rolls gently toward your feet, then slips quietly away again. That rhythm has continued for hundreds of millions of years, long before people built cities, long before written history, even before dinosaurs. The tides have never forgotten their dance. As midnight slowly deepens, clouds drift across the stars. The ocean reflects their changing shapes. A soft breeze carries the fresh scent of salt water. Everything feels wonderfully peaceful. If someone were sailing across the ocean tonight, they might pause for a moment, turn off every light aboard their boat, and simply look upward. The stars above, the stars below, the quiet sound of water against the hull. It is often in moments like these that people feel both very small and wonderfully connected to the earth, to the moon, to the sea, to the long story of life itself. Scientists have learned an extraordinary amount about the ocean, yet every new expedition uncovers fresh mysteries, new species, new geological discoveries, new questions. The ocean is generous that way. Every answer quietly opens another door. Perhaps that is why curiosity never grows old. There is always something more waiting beneath the next wave. As your breathing becomes slower, imagine the sea breathing with you. A wave rises. You inhale. A wave falls. You exhale. Nothing forced. Nothing complicated. Only a quiet rhythm shared with the largest body of water on Earth. And somewhere, far below, beyond the reach of sunlight, beyond the reach of ordinary imagination, the deepest places in the ocean continue resting peacefully, exactly as they have for millions of years. Silent, ancient, patient, waiting quietly beneath the waves. until another curious traveler comes to visit. The night has settled completely now. The stars seem brighter than ever. The sea has become almost perfectly calm. Only the smallest ripples move across its silver surface. Above us, the moon hangs quietly in the sky. It asks for no attention. It makes no sound, yet it is gently shaping the entire ocean. Imagine standing on a quiet beach. The tide slowly reaches your feet. An hour later, the water has moved much farther inland. Several hours after that, it quietly begins to retreat again. This peaceful rhythm has repeated every day for hundreds of millions of years. The moon never touches the sea, yet its gravity gently pulls upon Earth's oceans. The pull is small for any single drop of water, but when every drop across the entire planet responds together, the result becomes the tides. Twice each day, the oceans slowly rise. Twice each day, they slowly fall. Nothing is forced. Nothing is hurried. The sea simply follows the quiet invitation of the moon. It is one of the most beautiful partnerships in nature. Even the sun joins this gentle dance. Although the sun is far more massive than the moon, it is also much farther away. Its gravity helps shape the tides as well. When the sun, the moon, and the earth line up together, their gentle pulls combine. The tides become especially high. These are known as spring tides. Despite the name, they can happen during any season. The word spring simply means the water seems to leap a little higher. About a week later, the sun and moon pull from different directions. Their influences partially balance one another. The tides become smaller. These are called neap tides. Even this quiet rhythm has continued for countless ages. Imagine being a tiny crab living along a rocky shoreline. Your entire life follows the tides. When the water rises, you explore safely beneath the waves. When it falls, you quietly wait among the rocks until the sea returns. Many creatures measure time, not by clocks, but by the tides. Along sandy beaches, tiny clams bury themselves just beneath the surface. As the tide returns, fresh water washes gently across the sand. The clams begin feeding. When the sea retreats, they rest quietly beneath the beach. Sea grasses sway gently beneath the changing water. Salt marshes fill, then empty again. Entire coastal ecosystems breathe with the rhythm of the ocean. It is almost as though the earth itself is taking slow, peaceful breaths. Inhale, the tide rises. Exhale, the tide slips away. Our little boat floats gently upon those same waters. We hardly notice the movement, yet beneath us, billions of tons of seawater are quietly responding to the moon above. Nature rarely needs great speed to create something extraordinary. Patience often accomplishes more. Scientists know that the tides also help mix the oceans. Nutrients are carried into shallow bays. Fresh oxygen reaches marine life. Young fish find protected nursery habitats. Even tiny microscopic organisms benefit from the gentle movement. The ocean's heartbeat reaches every coastline, long before modern science. Ancient sailors carefully observed the tides. Fishing villages planned their days around them. Harbors welcomed ships when the water was highest. Communities living beside the sea learned to trust this dependable rhythm. The moon became a silent companion, faithful, predictable, always returning. Tonight, as the moonlight paints a shimmering path across the water, It feels almost impossible to imagine a world without tides, without their slow breathing. The coastline itself would become a different place. Many familiar beaches, rock pools, and salt marshes would never have formed. The moon has quietly shaped our planet in ways we rarely notice. Perhaps that is one final lesson from the ocean. Not every influence needs to be loud. Some of the greatest changes happen gently, patiently, without asking for recognition. As the tide continues its quiet journey, our breathing naturally slows to match it. The waves rise, then gently fall. The moon continues its silent path across the sky. The stars keep watch above, and somewhere, far below, the deepest parts of the ocean remain exactly as they have always been. Dark, peaceful, timeless, waiting beneath the silver glow of a moon that has watched over the sea for billions of quiet nights. Now, there is nowhere left to travel. No deeper trench waiting below. No distant horizon calling us onward. Our journey has gently come full circle. The little research vessel rests quietly upon the calm ocean. Its engines have long since fallen silent. Only the gentle rocking of the waves remains. The night air feels cool against your face. A faint scent of salt lingers in the breeze. Somewhere far away, a whale exhales softly into the darkness. The sound drifts across the water, then slowly disappears. Everything seems to breathe together. The sea, the sky, the wind, and perhaps you as well. Take one slow breath. Notice how easily it comes. There is nothing left to accomplish tonight, nothing left to solve. Only this peaceful moment, floating between the stars above and the hidden world below. It is remarkable to think that beneath this quiet boat, nearly 11 kilometers below, the deepest places on Earth continue their timeless existence. The tiny amphipods still wander across the soft sediment. The hydrothermal vents continue releasing warm, mineral-rich water. The lanternfish begin another gentle climb toward the surface. The ocean currents continue their centuries-long journeys. The tides continue answering the silent call of the moon. Everything carries on, without hurry, without interruption. Nature has no need to rush. It already knows where it is going. Perhaps that is why spending time beside the ocean feels so calming. The sea asks nothing from us. It does not expect perfection. It does not demand constant attention. It simply invites us to slow down, to breathe, to notice, to rest. Imagine every wave carrying away one lingering thought, one small worry, one unfinished task. The wave rises, carries it gently toward the horizon, then quietly disappears into the night. Another wave follows, then another, each one just a little softer than the last. Soon, there is only stillness. Above us, the stars continue their ancient paths across the heavens. Many of the constellations we see tonight have guided sailors for thousands of years. The same stars reflected upon Viking ships, Polynesian canoes, ancient trading vessels, and modern research ships. Generations have come and gone, yet the stars remain. The ocean remembers them all. If you could remain here until dawn, you would notice the eastern horizon slowly becoming pale. The stars would quietly fade. The first seabirds would begin their morning flights. A gentle golden light would spread across the waves. The ocean would look entirely different. Yet beneath the surface, nothing would truly change. The deep sea would remain dark. The glowing creatures would continue shining. The ancient trenches would remain silent. The ocean would simply begin another peaceful day. That is one of its greatest gifts. It is always ready to begin again. Every sunrise, every sunset, every tide, every season, always moving, always patient, always calm. Perhaps tomorrow, someone somewhere will lower a scientific instrument into waters never explored before. Perhaps a new species will be discovered. Perhaps another piece of Earth's story will quietly reveal itself. The ocean still has countless secrets waiting, not because it wishes to hide them, but because it has all the time in the world. And now, as your own journey comes to a close, allow your thoughts to become as gentle as the sea itself. Imagine the slow rhythm of the waves, the cool evening breeze, the soft glow of moonlight stretching across the water, the peaceful darkness beneath, the endless stars above. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing more you need to remember. Only this quiet moment, only this calm breath, only this beautiful blue planet, floating silently through space, wrapped in its vast, mysterious, life-giving ocean. May your sleep be as deep as Challenger Deep, as peaceful as the drifting marine snow, and as timeless as the tides that have embraced our world for billions of years. Rest now. The ocean will keep watch until morning. Good night.